You guys, welcome back. We are an amazing webinar series, training for reigning. If we haven't met, I'm KarenMayerCunningham, special education boss, training everyone that sits at the 504 IEP table, and author of the Epic IEP, a powerful playbook for parents, educators, and advocates navigating the IEP process. And so I'm super excited to bring to you this panel tonight of educators who have transitioned into becoming full-time special education advocates. And I know in our trainings, we get so many questions about that. And does that really work? And is she making it up? And I might make up some things, but this I didn't make up. And so 75% of the people that I have the blessing of training are educators. And I'm always trying to steal them when they're ready to transition into a different vocation. And so we're bringing some of them to you tonight. So welcome. Make sure that you have your questions. We'll open the chat at the end. So jot down your questions so you don't forget them. But we have Cindy Bachwasal, Rachel Modern, Alan Driggers, Lauren Clifton, and Linda Helton. Thank you all for being on tonight.
Thank you for having us.
Yes.
Glad to be here.
Good. All right. So we're going to start with Cindy. So Cindy, you are an amazing special education advocate. How did you come to know about Special Education Academy?
Well, I resigned my position after 27 years in Seminole County Public Schools, and I needed help with my son, Michael, and I found you on TikTok. And I felt like it was a beacon of light to reach out and started listening to you on TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook. And that began my journey.
Okay. And so when you first found out about Special Education Academy and the training, were you thinking, oh, I'm going to become a special education advocate? Was that your first thought?
No, not at all.
What was your first thought?
My first thought is, can anybody help me get my son to where he needs to be?
Right. And so, so you came on, one of our advocates helped you. I was that advocate. And then when did you sort of get, the bug, the fever, the unction of, I wonder if I could do this?
Well, I took your 2-day on-demand intensive course, and I started to think, oh my goodness, everything she is saying goes against what I learned and was taught by my county. Could this be true? Could it help my child? And then sparks started to fly.
So when you thought about this change, because this is a very big change, right? I always say that we're all advocates at the IEP table. What specific fears did you have about making the change?
I would be responsible to help children get what they needed. Would I be able to have enough knowledge to do that effectively?
And you are. So as an amazing 27-year veteran teaching in MTSS and SST and a district lead and the IEP chair, what skills did you bring from that vocation into your new vocation of being a special education advocate?
I brought over what I knew the children needed that the county told us wasn't true. I knew what kids needed. I knew what the law was from listening to you and your trainings. And then I just put those two together so I could look at all their documentation and get them what they needed that they did not have yet.
And was one of your fears when you started or thought about starting, was that you needed to know everything before you could get started?
Absolutely. And I remember you saying, when you're sitting at the table, you've taken this 2-day intensive, you've listened to all of this, you know more than the people sitting at the table.
And has that been true?
110%. They did not even know what that wonderful map black book was.
Right on right there from this.
Perfect. And so, so now that you are advocating full time, what has been your biggest win or success as you walk alongside families?
My biggest win is having the kiddos themselves come on to say, hey, Miss Cindy, guess what? Today I stayed on green, or today I got a sticker on my paper, and they're just happy. They're successful, and their parents are happy.
So one of the things I remember you saying is, well, I won't be able to advocate where I worked, right? So do you not advocate in the districts that you taught in now? Do you have to do that?
Oh, I do advocate in the districts that I taught in, Orange and Seminole County, known very well in Volusia and Lake County, and we're building a relationship.
And has it been different? Are you viewed differently?
Oh, yes, absolutely, yes. When we go to the table now, it's very eye-opening because I was the MTSS lead and I taught all my people the way the county had taught me. And what the county taught me is not the law. So now I'm sitting on the opposite side of the table or playing a different role, let's say that, because we're all at the table for the kiddos. And the people that I've taught are my colleagues, my friends, and they're looking at me like, but wait, you taught us all of this for 7 years.
That's so good. You are just such a joy. Thank you for serving families. And so, as a full time special education advocate, are you only able to serve families in the state where you taught?
Oh, no, ma'am. We can teach in the 50 states and even sometimes military bases because they could be on different, parts of the world and it's still a public education.
Perfect.
Sea to shining sea.
Sea to shining sea. One of those things that I say, no matter where you are in an IEP meeting, it's the same meeting, but different people. Do you find that to be true?
Oh, yes, absolutely. You have the happy one, you have the really serious one, and everything in between.
Yes. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for serving kiddos.
Thank you so much.
All right, the great Linda Helton from the great San Francisco. So tell us about your education career.
So I was a teacher in a classroom, self-contained sixth grade for a long time, and then transitioned to teaching just sixth grade science. Got my credential in 1979, and I retired in 2022. So I had been out of the classroom for just over 3 years when my 11-year-old grandson really needed help, and it. I didn't realize it was as bad as it was, and I started looking for someone or something that could help me. I found Karen on her reels, and I went to her website and saw that she actually was having a 2-day intensive in person in Florida. So in about 2 days, I decided to hop on the plane and off I went to Florida.
And so when you came to the 2-day training, I'm going to assume you didn't come there thinking, oh, I'm going to be a special education advocate. Did you?
Oh my gosh, no, I just needed help. I needed help to help my grandson. I think that's what a lot of us, we go into looking for help for our grandsons or our kids. Yeah, I just needed to know because what I had always thought wasn't happening. And I just needed a better understanding after I listened to Karen's reels. There were so many things that was not happening in the classroom that I really needed help. I needed direction. I needed information. And boy, did I get it.
We get it. And so, sort of the same thing that Cindy talked about, which is obviously not unusual. Your grandson was in school where you were a veteran teacher, correct?
Correct.
And how did that make the process when you showed up with an advocate? How was that?
Uh, it was a little difficult because they thought they were doing the right thing. And ultimately, what we really realized was they didn't know. They had done it wrong for so many years that they didn't know the right way to do things and what needed to be provided for the kids. And I think what really got me, grandson has ADHD, and the year before I went and found Karen, the teachers were telling me he's losing things on purpose. He's not, he's being resistant. He's telling us no. And that's just not my grandson. He is the most compliant, easygoing kid you've ever seen. And it was his ADHD. It was this whole symptoms of his disability that was affecting his education, and he was getting graded down on that. And it had to stop. So found her.
Yeah. So at what point did you think this is something that I could do to help other families?
After the 2-day intensive, I went into mastermind. I did the mastermind, and it's just so much information, and I had really thought, okay, I'm retired now. I'm going to just do nothing, just play with my grandkids and go watch them play sports. But the more I got involved and listened and sat in on classes and watched webinars and things like that, the more I kept thinking, maybe I could do this. And my daughter called me one day and she says, Mom, I have a friend who's having problems. And what do you think? And she told me, and I kicked into Karen mode, and I opened my mouth, and everything that Karen had taught me just flowed right out of my mouth. And then I think it was actually that day that I decided I can do this. I can do this. So
And
it
so
was great.
what's it been like serving families that are not, and because that's what happens, right? Whether you become an advocate or not, as a vocation, you're going to be advocate. You're going to sit by somebody at church. You're going to sit by somebody at the football game. You're going to see somebody at the grocery store. You're not going to go, oh, I'm not going to say anything, right?
No, and that's not me anyway. I open up my mouth way too much. So, but you know, I've helped just today 2 families. One just with a question. Her daughter died 20 days ago, and she has her 11-year-old grandson. And it was a question about the class. The teacher had left, and they were putting just an aide in there, and she just needed some direction. So I felt really good that I could just answer those questions. And the other one was a mom that the school was transitioning her third grader from a self-contained special ed class to a gen ed class, and she was so afraid of having that happen. And we talked about it. We went over it with everybody in the IEP meeting. And when we got done and I talked to her on the phone, she was so relieved and so thankful that she had called us and gotten the advocate, because it's not like it's a lot of work for me, but it really helped the family make that transition. And that's really what we're here for.
Thank you. That's awesome. What would you say to retired teachers who thought they were going to sit around and, work in their garden and play with their grandkids?
Yeah. Well, some of us will continue to do that, I'm sure, because we're tired. But this is one of those things as an educator you can do. You can get out there and help those kids. All those, and I mean, in my classroom, I was the one that got most of the special ed kids. And looking back, I could have done a much better job if I would have known the law. And now everybody can do that and needs to be able to go and figure that out. So I think you can do this. It's just time and energy, and you can do as much as you want. It's not all consuming. So you can make your own schedule.
Awesome. And can you wear jeans on Fridays for free?
Well, in the school district I was in, I always got to wear jeans. That was
Ah,
my daily.
well, we are all wearing jeans today, and some of us are wearing volleyball shorts, but y'all don't raise your hand. So we're so excited to have you helping families, Linda.
Thank you.
The
I'm
great,
happy to be here.
awesome. Thank you. The great Lauren Clifton. So, Lauren, tell us about your education background.
Yeah, definitely. So when I was actually in college, I wanted to be a high school English teacher. I was a dance teacher at the time. My boss was like, "Hey, we're going to have you teach the adapted class." And I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. I ended up absolutely falling completely in love with the families and the kids that I worked with. I changed my major. And then I started out teaching. I did inclusion and resource. I did specialized classrooms in California, moved to Texas, heard about this thing called a diagnostician, and was like, what is this? We didn't have those in California. And so because I had my master's in education, I was able to get my my cert for being a diag, and that's what I ended up doing.
Okay. And so you are full-time diagnostician, you do private evaluations, you do IEEs. I feel like that's, you're not like in the middle of the school having to deal with sometimes the shenanigans. Is there any shenaniganing in the evaluator world?
Oh, there's always shenaniganing. um, it that's the part of my job that I really love. It's the why is a child struggling? What is happening? I was on a meeting with a new client today, and they're just kind of at a loss. They're like, we don't know what to do for our child. We don't know why he's struggling. And that's, I think, the coolest part about my job and getting to work with kids and telling them I'm like a detective. I get to find out what you know, what you don't know yet. And it just, it's such a great part. So,
So, I mean, you've committed your master's, your college degree. I wouldn't know. I don't know if those are free. So you've committed years and years of your life, years and years of tens of thousands of dollars. So what could possibly have caused you to consider pivoting to be a full-time special education advocate?
um, just the feeling, knowing the feeling of being in a position where you're like, I know I need something, but I don't know what. That is a terrible feeling. And that is something that happens with parents of children with special needs all the time. And it's just sitting there like, I know my kid needs help. I don't know what to ask for. You don't know what you don't know. And that's really where my heart is. And I chose to go down that path to be able to support families and help them. And yeah, I have the degrees and the different things, but those aren't the pieces that really you get taught while you're in the education field. You get taught, procedures and things like that, but not necessarily the legal piece of it. And what's nice is being able to still kind of be able to support the team. It's not this misconception of it's us against the school. It's I'm here. I want to help. I'm part of the team. Let's make this good for the child. And it's really kind of just bridging that gap.
That's amazing. So, is it one of those things? Because you're young, everybody other than me is young. So, I can't imagine being early in the first 10 or 15 years of your career and just walking into my husband and going, by the way, I've met this bleach blonde bimbo online and she's a special education boss. And I'm thinking, did he just go, are you running a temperature? Are you okay? What did your husband say?
Well, actually, it was when I went to go see you at a press conference for the first time because I'm like, this lady she knows her stuff. I don't know what she does. I just randomly saw her on TikTok with one of my advocates who sent me something that we were going through at the time, and it was one of your reels talking about exactly that. And I'm like, hey, she's going to be up in Denton. I'm going to go see her. And then after that, I was like, hey, Brett, we're also hiring her to help us with our child because I'm tired of being in the ARD as mom and as advocate and trying to wrap my head around all of those pieces. And yeah, I can do it, but it's so much better for me to be able to sit back and say, Karen, I'm gonna let you take the lead. You're the advocate, and I get to just be mom. So
It's awesome. So let's talk about real fears for anybody coming out of any vocation into a new one. Special education advocates, most people don't even know they're special education advocates. And it doesn't matter how much I encourage you. At the end of the day, you and Rachel, and you got to go do the work. So from the time that I jump off the high dive and I leave my established known career and known income and known benefits to becoming a full-time advocate, how much runway was
I mean, it there's it's still growing. I'm still, I started my business in 2024, and it's been, little at a time. And for me, it's been definitely I need to just trust that I've got this, and there's a team of other advocates that are amazing, and getting to learn from Karen from you. And it's just, that's been really helpful. So I don't know that I'm completely out of it yet, because I'm still learning and evolving as far as wanting to be the best that I can be to support the families that I can at the highest level. And I don't know that that will ever stop, but definitely switching and being able to help and do this is just, it's a huge blessing. So
Awesome. Thank you. We're so excited to have you. You're amazing. So the great, amazing Rachel Modern, how are you, dear?
Doing great, Karen. How are you? You staying warm out there in
I'm
Texas?
staying warm because I always have my blanket. So, Rachel, who I met, and she's ridiculously amazing. She's unbelievably brilliant. She has the most amazing educational background and story about, being challenged with reading difficulties growing up. And when I met Rachel, she literally was just taking the training to be a better educator. Everybody that you see in front of me that took my training took the training to be a better educator, a better diagnostician. They didn't go, oh, I want to be a special education advocate, right? And so, Rachel, kind of tell us about your story about how you came to find the academy and what you came to get trained for.
Yeah. So I found one of your TikToks, and you were talking about you don't want your special education teachers running around with a clipboard taking data. You want them teaching. And I thought that was so refreshing. I'd been through some experiences with advocates when I was a special education teacher, and that was not at all the message that we received. I was running around with 10 clipboards, right? So that kind of really got me interested. Then I went to your page, and next thing you're in the deep dark scroll of your profile, right? And then I decided to email, because I saw that you had a training, and I was like, is this training going to help me have a better understanding of everybody's roles at the IEP table? I really wanted to have a better understanding of an advocate's role, just because of the experience I had with advocates that have not been trained by Karen. We'll leave it at that, right? And so I really wanted to have that better understanding of everyone's role and how we even fit in. And within the first, we get that email from you, and it's like, this is what we're going to talk about. And I saw that the first half of the day was all just eligibility categories. And I remember looking at it, and I was like, oh, this is going to be a snooze fest for the first half of the morning. I know this really well. And within 45 minutes of the start of the 2-day, I was like, this is the best training that I've had related to special education since I left Vanderbilt in 10 years. So yeah, that's how I found you.
And so you specialize in special education. You came out of it. So you took the training, and like almost all of you go running back to where you work, and you're so excited. Like you found out how to slice bread. Tell us, when you went back to your campus, how your amazing correct legal training was received.
Yeah. So, I always would butt heads with people advocating for my kiddos and that kind of thing. But definitely after your 2-day, I started getting in a lot more trouble, for lack of a better term, with it. Like that's real, from being told, asking questions in an eligibility meeting about the evaluation, and the school psychologist telling me not to ask, pulling me aside days later and telling me, hey, let's not ask questions about the evaluation in front of parents. We wouldn't want any of your questions for, to think that you got that the kiddo had, and, a not, had an unfair evaluation kind of thing, and that piece of it. And I was like, oh, I didn't know we weren't allowed to ask questions. I didn't know where that was in the law. Yeah. So yes, just got into, and it was very small things with kind of people you wouldn't always expect it to be, right? And also like with the OT as well. I remember having, like one of the, as a committee, we'd already agreed that they're going to evaluate an OT evaluation, right? And I informed the OT of it, right? And then she came down and spent half my lunch telling me, how there are all these things we need to do before that. And I was like, oh, well, we've already agreed to it as a committee. So are you going to print that consent form or not? Because you can tell mom. Okay, I'll get it to you. Okay. And yes, so Trouble just became my middle name there.
Yeah. So I remember, I'm pretty sure you were a January mastermind, if I remember. I can't find my keys, but I remember when people trained. So so you did the 2 day, and then the mastermind is for people that want to be full-time advocates and learn our processes and protocols. It's very intense. So after you took the mastermind, I think we're January, mid-February. When did you go, I need to get some boxes from U-Haul, and this is going to be my last semester?
I was helping my cousin kind of navigate the IEP world in Texas, and just supporting as a family member. At that point, I wouldn't have called myself an advocate, but just family member. And your advice worked, and it worked like I literally just quoted one of your quotes, and I was able to move the committee, and I just was like, I can do this, right? Like, if I can help my niece, with just having your 2 day, I just knew that this is what I wanted to do, and that I could do this. And so that's what led me to do the mastermind and continue on.
So talk to us about, a lot of people feel like, I invested all this time and all these years, and I have all these Bobcats sweatshirts. So did you feel like that was another vocation? This is totally new, or did the skills that you already have just build in being a special education advocate?
Oh, I completely built. I mean, I still use so much of that teaching foundation. I still use both of the degrees I have behind me every day. And I mean, like I've talked with you about, like I have so much respect for people who are like as knowledgeable as you and didn't teach. I can't imagine doing this and not having that background and really knowing how to deliver specially designed instruction, right? And really being able to look at the data and assess it. I can't imagine having to learn all of that on the fly, right? With already just learning the special education law, right? That was overwhelming enough in that piece. And then of course, as you talk about like those negotiation strategies, right? And really getting people to feel and move, right? And then I can't imagine adding that layer of understanding what is going on with curriculum and instruction and all of those pieces. So yes, it is still very, all of the credentials have helped me get here, even though you don't need credentials to sit in this role now.
Awesome. Thanks for being here, Rachel. We love you. All right. The great, amazing, last but certainly not least, Coach Alan Driggers. Welcome to the webinar.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. So tell us how you came to know about the Academy.
So a buddy of mine who I taught with, who we taught together, told me, we taught in special ed together, and he told me about this lady that's on TikTok, and I didn't even have a TikTok account at the time. So I had to create one. And so I didn't even know you went live, honestly, probably until a couple of years later. I just was watching the clips, and so we'd watch them and talk about them, pretty much every day. And I'm like, this lady doesn't know what in the heck she's talking about. She's clueless, because that's not what we've been told. And he'd go, yeah, I know. I mean, I don't know where she's getting this from. And we're like, and she's in Texas where we're at, so it's not like it's a different state. So I mean, we're like, and so yeah, so I did that and lurked around probably for a good 18 months, probably. I do remember I popped on one night. I joined the Academy eventually. I joined the Academy after about a year, probably at least a year. And I popped on one night, and I would come on occasionally, but would rarely have my my name. But I popped on one night just to introduce myself, and I was like, okay, I need to do a little more digging, because it started to make more sense to me. So, but yeah, I was going to say, I got into education. I'll give it a little background. I was started in corporate America for a number of years, fell in love with coaching, got into public education, was started in private schools, and then moved into public education, coached, was a gen ed teacher, was a campus leader, led a special education behavior program for a number of years. And I that's what I did.
And so after you lurked, there was much lurking. And most of the people that are members of the Academy, they don't come on Monday nights for a number of reasons, right? Because most of them are educators. They don't want their name up there, so they watch the recordings. So you had a sip of the Kool-Aid, right? You had a little bit of the Special Education Academy Kool-Aid. You're like, kind of like this. But you're, a seasoned teacher. Your family members are educators. This is your community. I mean, this is not like you go, well, I'm going to turn in all these shirts. What was the sort of thinking process? Because you are a processor of pivoting to become a full-time special education advocate.
Really was timing more than anything for me. But the more I got into this, I thought, you know what, this is something I definitely can do. I don't, really thinking retirement. When I get, retire, this is definitely something. I think it's definitely something that's needed. But the more questions I asked, and the more that curtain started to open up, it's like the wizard was showing up behind the curtain. It just made me angry. It made me angry because I felt like we have been. I mean, as an educator, I use this a lot. I say it's either intentional or incompetence. It's one or the other. And I don't think I honestly don't believe that most of it's at the campus level. I think if teachers knew what they had to do, they would do it. They just don't know. And when I got an email from our leadership, I asked a question because I didn't know. And it was about paperwork. And they said, well, just go ask one of your peers. I'm like, okay, you're sitting downtown, making what we called our central office downtown, and you're making six figures. You're making at least twice what a teacher makes. And you can't even answer a simple question about how you fill out a form that I didn't know about. And that was kind of the snowball. So I started asking questions, hard questions, and they weren't necessarily appreciated.
So why do you think, and I'm not an educator, I'll never be an educator, God bless educators, y'all take other people's children on purpose all day, like you're all for sure going to heaven. So, and it's one of the things I talk about. It's not the campus, it's not the teachers, not the paraprofessionals, it's not the special educators, it is leadership. And I find that leadership, maybe not even your principal, but the district level, they absolutely know their duties, obligations, and responsibilities. And so when did that light go
on? It was gradual. It wasn't necessarily just one big thing. I think what realized to me is the trainings we would have. So I moved into I became a 504 coordinator for our campus. And so I handled all the 504s, which, looking back on, I'm like, okay, whatever. But what I learned kind of in that process, I kind of got to see kind of underneath a little bit and got to hear things more than anything. But the trainings that we were having done in special ed, they were directly because of some compliance the district was out of, and as part of the settlement or whatever was a requirement for the district to train. And that really, because I had asked for years of why can't we just, in the district I was in, why can't we standardize on one form, one way we fill out the paperwork? Every campus was something different. So when you get a transfer, or you get a kid up, I was at the high school level, and you get a kid from a middle school, or somebody comes from one of our other high schools, it all looked different. So you're having to sort through and figure it out. I'm like, this is an easy fix. Somebody at the top task somebody else, say, you figure out what the paperwork needs to be, and we're going to do it. And I can promise you the teachers would do it. We're teaching each other. So the guy who taught me, the guy who showed me your video, taught me how to do the paperwork. Another teacher taught him how to do the paperwork. And then I know one more teacher taught her how to do the paperwork. And we're all doing the paperwork to the best of our ability that we know. But we honestly don't know if we're doing it right or not. And I used to ask the questions on our software. There's like 134 forms on here. I'm using like 7. What are these other ones for? I mean, there's got to be a purpose for them. And nobody could ever answer that, or nobody would ever answer that. So that was just those kind of things just didn't make a lot of sense to me.
And so you guys are all super, super smart. So in college, you have to finish all this coursework, and then you're tested, and then you're given your ability to go out and do the thing. Talk about how that's different as you pivot into be a special education advocate.
I think having an education background absolutely helps, just because you kind of can see, how things operate. I mean, in a school setting. I don't think it's necessary. I think the biggest thing is you got to have a heart for kids, and really for me, it's just it's more of a it's I see the injustice, and for me, and as much as it is for me personally, for the kids, it's the teachers. I see my wife still teaches, my daughter teaches. I have dear friends that teach. My first clients I got as an advocate were all people I used to work with who had kids in the school system we taught in. And so I just teachers are getting the raw deal, and teachers are taught to be very agreeable and not challenge the system, because then you get called in, or you feel like your job, or you get a bad assignment or whatever, and you're just discouraged from asking the tough questions, and it doesn't make sense. It just never really has, because nowhere else in corporate America, in any other job, would you say, give me more things to do, but don't give me any compensation or time? We're going to follow it under those duties, other duties assigned. And I'm like, nowhere else can you do that. But teachers we come back. Thank you. Can I have another? And I mean, that's what we do. And if we don't, we're sorry, well, you're not here for the kids, or you got to remember why you're here. And I'm like, I am here, but I have a family too, and so the teachers are horribly abused. Not by all the stuff that's by the people within the school system. I just think they're horribly taken advantage of. And yeah, I mean, I could talk hours on that, and I'm not going to bore everybody with it. But there's just a lot. There's just a lot, and it's not just my district. It's not just Texas. I've seen it all over the country.
Yeah, just real quick, you had shared a story, which I know only because teachers have told me, because let's be clear, I'm not a teacher. I'm not going to be a school teacher. But I remember one of my very first in-person trainings, and I looked it up. It was like in 2014 at the La Quinta. You're not really an international world-changing trainer if you have not done a training at the La Quinta. And I remember 2 of the 4 people were teachers, and she was like, "We are prepped and hushed. We are prepped and hushed." And I was like, she's joking. And so, a lot of times when I have a family, we get into a meeting and Linda was the teacher and Linda's telling everything. And then they get into the meeting and nobody says anything. And so the parent thinks, I thought Linda was for my kiddo, especially if there's leadership or an attorney. Kind of talk about that process before you get in the meeting, Alan.
We would normally have what we called staffings. I don't know if they're called everywhere else, but we called them staffing. So it was basically an IEP meeting without the parent. I mean, and for all intents and purposes, we're making sure everybody's on the same page within the school. I mean, we don't make decisions, but we definitely talk about, hey, what's best? What do we think? Those kind of things. But when you had a meeting that you knew the parent either had some knowledge, they were bringing an attorney, or they were bringing an advocate. Our district would bring either leadership or usually an attorney, like the district attorney, and we were told not to talk. And so even when, I mean, we were told not to talk, and people kind of not quite to the professionalism of you, but I like to talk as well. And so people knew something was up. People who knew me that I wasn't talking, but I was told not to. And it wasn't like you're threatened, but you definitely felt like you don't talk because you have an attorney there, and they would lead the whole meeting. And I've seen it since I've left to friends. I've seen it when I was there, that if a teacher got out of line and didn't say something that wasn't, on the side of the school, or just kind of towed the line, I guess, they would get called in and get chewed up. I don't know that anybody ever got fired or necessarily reassigned, but it definitely you were made to feel like you were not a team player.
Yeah.
And when I didn't know we really had teams. I thought we were all one team supposed to be helping kids. I mean, that was kind of my thought process. And yeah, anyways.
So let me ask you, and we'll just close this out and open up for questions because that's the most important thing. And for all of our viewers, you were, if I remember, probably you all were, but you were the most vocal about, you were reticent about this really a vocation and you wanted to get up and running quick, right? You might have been a slow processor, but then when you lit the firewood, you wanted it to be, let's go. And I remember when you first started a couple weeks into it, you were like, this is just not happening. So then what happened after it just wasn't happening?
Well, it wasn't. I mean, I had a handful of clients, but it just wasn't growing at the pace that I thought I could or should. Um, you were kind. I brought that up to you, and you were kind enough at the time to actually get a group of us and do a couple of Zooms with us and talk about, hey, this is what you need to do. This is what you need to do. And as a coach, I coached for a number of years. And I used to say this all the time to everybody. I have very little original thought. I stole everything. I stole a play. I stole this. I stole that. And so I'm either parroting something I heard, a movie I watched, a motivational speech I saw, or I am stealing a play. And so I just transferred that to this. Why am I trying to recreate the wheel? Because that's ultimately what I was doing. And I was trying to have this fancy website that, have everything in place. Y'all, I mean, I was given it. I mean, my website looked like, a Britannica Encyclopedia of Sped. And you just told me, hey, you need to do this and this, and I just did it. And then in the matter, you just told me do social media, just post on social media. That's all you need to do. You don't need to buy ads. You don't need to go talk to people in your community. Go to nobody is going to turn somebody away who's trying to help kids. There's so many kid-oriented businesses. And honestly, all I did was social media. I just did what you said. It went live and the spigots opened. I literally told my wife this past weekend, I'm working more hours now and I'm having fun doing it, but I also get to choose those hours. That's the biggest thing for me. Probably that I haven't done in probably 20 years, 25 years. And I mean, it's genuinely fun. I mean, I get frustrated, I get upset, I get, just like everybody else does when you get into an IEP meeting. But I'm able. The biggest thing for me is I'm able to go to a parent who has been fighting and feels like they've been banging their head against the wall trying to get help for their child and take that burden off of them and let them be mom and dad. And I tell them that all the time. You be mom and dad. You tell me what you want. I'll carry that burden. I'll carry that weight into the meeting, and you don't have to fight this fight. Let me do it for you. And I've already seen it. I haven't been an advocate for an extensive period of time, long enough. But I've already had parents come to me who we've had some wins, and they're just so relieved.
I have opened the chat for all of our attendees, so just get to typing away. I've opened them. I can read them. This is very exciting. So we want you guys to ask questions to any of our panelists because they're all the fancy pants that went to college and finished. I'm not saying I didn't go to college. I just didn't finish, not completely. So okay, let's see. So somebody said, where can I find the 2-day training? So the 2-day training is available. It's always available on demand. And then now, because we're traveling and teaching, we'll do about 3 live 2-day virtuals. I think almost everybody here, I don't know if I can't remember. They were virtual people that took the 2-day. So you can just go to specialeducationacademy.com. I'll have Cindy put the website in the chat and just go to training, the 2 days on demand. So you can take it at your pace. Lots of resources in there. And then after that, we have a mastermind, and that is for somebody that wants to replicate the protocols, processes, and pathways that we use as we serve families. And then after that, we have a VIP coaching that is solely for people that are full-time advocates. It's not open to general population. And so we get in there every week and we really talk about legal needs, requirements, implementation. So we have that available. And so there is, so the cost is on the website. You can just find them there. There are a couple of payment options as well. Yeah. So Janet says, where will this recording be available to see fully if I'm a parent, educator, need my husband to see this? So we'll email it back to you, Janet. And then all of our webinars are permanently up on Special Education YouTube, Special Education Academy YouTube. I just need one more platform. So they stay there. And then if you ever have a question, you can always just email us at advocate@Special Education Academy, and we'll get you the link again. How valid is this in Canada, i.e. the laws? So that's a good question, Cheryl. So I have clients that came from Canada or relocated to Canada. Obviously, it's different language, right? Like we have clients that are in America and move other places. It's part of their job track. Special education is special education, right? The words that we use in America, a personal care supplement, a behavior intervention plan, those things are different. The difference in other countries are how it's funded. And so, but the information is going to be helpful for you. We have people that follow us and are advocates in Ireland and Wales and all in Japan, because special education is still, I've got to write a plan for this student to make progress. So either way, it's going to be beneficial for you. Let's see, where do we begin to learn how to be an advocate? So Rachel, where would they need to begin to learn how to be an advocate?
Here, getting to meet you. I mean, definitely they would start with going to the specialeducationacademy.com and joining the Special Education Academy on Monday nights. And it's free for the first month.
Yeah. And then that way you can really, I mean, we're such a great community. There's no long-term commitment. If you leave, it's fine. People make mistakes. You can come back. But there's over 400 hours worth of archive training. I train in series. So you literally could go back in the dashboard and go, oh, here's what I need. Here's a dispute resolution session. Here's what I need Thursday, manifestation determination resolution meeting. Here's what I need right now, prior written notice. Because our heart is to equip people. And then, if you get the bug, you'll figure out how to, progress from there.
Karen, we do have questions in the question and answers, and I can see them in the chat. Would you like me to read them to you?
Yes. Are you going to read both of them?
Yes. Is that okay?
Okay. Then you be the reader.
Okay. Absolutely. Opening a business, do you think one can make a living, or would it be more of a side hustle? I would love being an advocate, unpaid now, and I am a kindergarten teacher and advocate, obviously as a teacher, but outside for medical issues and for other teachers and families outside the district. This is my dream. It was what I was meant to do. What is your thought about this being a side hustle? Can I make it?
So I'll let Linda Helden answer that.
You can absolutely make it. Just like Alan said, when you get started, sometimes it's a little slow. And I mean, everybody does it for their own reason. I did it to start helping people. I mean, I'm retired. I get a retirement. I get Social Security. So making a lot of money as an advocate is not it's not my biggest concern. But I'm so busy right now. It's just crazy. And you're going to go out there and it's word of mouth. Once you've helped someone in your area, it just spreads like wildfire, and you're going to be turning people away. You can absolutely make it. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm going to just piggyback on that. The average advocate, if I was training somebody and I never saw them again, I would tell them to start at $50 an hour. If you did that full time, and unlike educating, we still advocate in the summer. We still advocate over Christmas and Thanksgiving if you want to, because legal requirements still go on, mediations, filings, prepping clients, wrapping up with clients, getting new clients. It's not like they all close. The family has no more need May 30th and nobody calls you till August. And I think especially because these are all educators, ain't no summer off, right? Because we advocate nationally. On the East Coast, some schools are open till the third week in June. And then Georgia, we open our doors August 1st. So you might get to lay by the pool for a couple weeks in the summer, but we are working. And so if you only charge $50 an hour, started out at that, that's six figures. And so it's probably what you make teaching now, but it's a good starting place.
Parents are asked to sign papers at the end of an ARD meeting. How do I ensure everything is included in the IEP and my concerns are recorded? I've been told that they will email me a copy of the IEP paperwork. Also, can I request a specialized reading instruction?
So good question. So certainly sign at the end of the meeting. An ARD meeting is an admission review and dismissal meeting in Texas. It's an IEP meeting. We always assume competency, but people make clerical errors. So once I get the paperwork back, which is supposed to be within a reasonable amount of time, I'll read through it, make sure it matches up what I remember. If there's a clerical error, I would just say, hey, Lauren, looking on page 12 on the schedule of services, it says 2 times a semester, but we agreed to 2 times a grading period. Could you correct that? So almost always it's just a clerical need. And then when you said, can I request specialized reading instruction? So we are always going to the committees, identifying a need of the student, and how we decide as a committee to deliver that specially designed instruction or intervention. So absolutely, you can request that if it's a student's need.
I am not a retired teacher. I am in 16 years of teaching, but I'm looking to leave the classroom this year. Any suggestions on where to look for a full-time advocacy job?
Lauren, you want to answer that?
So, and I think someone else asked too, about working with a business or working with someone. So, we have our own business that we've created, and we being able to be in a community like the academy, it just helps give you that support because it can feel very isolating. So no, it's not. You're not necessarily going to go online and search for an advocate position. You can start by training and being more familiar with the laws. Definitely do all of Karen's trainings and get her book. It's fantastic if you haven't already. And just kind of start there and start working with people that you know. As you're talking to people, they have a child or they know someone who has a child, and you can kind of start start small, I think would be my recommendation, and then just go from there.
Yeah, I'm very, very simple. I literally have my advocates, and my advocates don't work for me. Nobody is I don't have a single employee. I train advocates to go be superstars. I serve them in, if they have ongoing needs as a VIP or a partner, but all of these, they work for themselves. They don't work for me. They have their own business. They're in charge of their businesses. And literally it's as simple as going out and taking a stack of cards, dropping them off at the pediatrician, dropping them off at the OT, dropping them off at Karate Kids, dropping them off at Chuck E. Cheese, dropping them off at the cheer station. Think of all the places at church, all these places. And I literally have my advocates walk in, anybody I train, with some cards in an envelope and just say, I dropped off these requested cards. I help kids that's struggling in school. The dentist. And you know what they do? They take them. And then you have all these people who hear moms and dads and grandparents talking about their kids' struggles while they're getting an adjustment, while they're getting a haircut, while we're always talking about our kiddos, and nobody doesn't know somebody who has a child with a disability or a child that's struggling in school. So literally, like Linda said, or Alan said, I think the other day, one of my advocates was like, I've got to go. I just had 3 sets of opening documents delivered. And so this is a vocation that people are desperate for really good help. And so you're not going to have a hard time. If you stick your fingers in your ear and go, don't call me, don't call me, don't call me, you probably won't have any phone calls. But if you do the very simple things that I say, and they're very simple, you will have an exploding business.
So that just answered the question. Everyone on the panel, are you self-employed advocates or do you work with a business? Okay, next one. Are families paying you, or who pays?
Who pays, Rachel?
Well, the families pay us. Yes, that works.
Yeah, so we're fee-based advocates. So whether it is a records review, they call Rachel just to do a state filing. She charges an hourly rate. That agreement is agreed upon at the beginning. And then they support families at whatever measure they want, right? Sometimes we just want Rachel to do a records review. And so we bill for that hourly. But yeah, they are all their own business.
I do have to say that I wore a shirt out today and it said on the back, it says, "Do you need help with your IEP? Ask me." And I have a QR code that you can scan and then you're brought to my website. I have never been tapped on the shoulder so many times and saying, "Oh, do you do this?" Just with that QR code on the back of my shirt, "Do you need IEP help? Ask me." Okay. Can you train for 2 years with you before retirement and then transfer over into advocacy?
Yeah, there are people that train with us for years and are staying in the classroom, and we love all of it, right? We've had people, we have somebody in the academy, MK. She has been with us since the beginning, 5 years now, and she is an amazing, self-contained, high behavioral needs teacher. And she's not leaving the classroom, but she needs that information because she's working with kiddos with high needs and self-contained, and she wants to be able to serve them at the highest level. She wants to be able to articulate effectively at the meeting. And the reason people come to our trainings is just like Alan and Linda, that the training is not at a school district. And I was surprised as a parent. I just assumed everybody at the school district was trained in special education. And that's not been my experience or what I've heard for the last 30 years.
I have a K-3 teaching license and a minor in special education. In recent years, I've taken college courses on special education law, the RTI process, grief, and various disabilities. I'm currently enrolled in the NASET course to become a board certified special education advocate. I'd like to take your courses as well. Does this sound like I would be qualified to open my own business? I feel like each case is presented requires a layer of research because cases are so individualized. What do you think?
So I think that you take the training that you need. I've taken almost every kind of training that was available that I could get my hands on all these years. That's not going to fail you. One of the things we have that we've only had it for a year is we have the VIP, and that is weekly training only for advocates. And so the language and the equipping that we can offer to people as they get new clients, this happened. So the director said this. What should I say? So we're resourcing people all week long because we want you to be successful, right? We want you to be successful in your professional business. And so when you're ready to pivot, we're happy to, support you with our education as well.
Will this recording be available to see fully? I'm a parent and an educator, and my husband must see this, please.
Yeah, it'll be sent back to you in your email where you registered, and then it will be permanently on YouTube on our Special Education Academy channel.
Can this be done part-time in a rural area?
I don't know, Linda?
Absolutely. Every IEP meeting I have is done online. And so I've had meetings in Missouri, Michigan, Georgia, South Carolina. And I'm in California. So although the meeting I had this morning in Georgia started at 6 a.m., but that was kind of my fault. But we got it done. It absolutely can be rural. The only thing I would have to tell you, have to have a good Wi-Fi signal.
You gotta have we gotta bring the modem. Yeah. We would say that if you're starting part-time, then just be ethical and don't take clients in the district, county, or city where you're employed. Because it probably won't, like Alan said, you'll probably be called into the office and it probably won't be for a shh. It'll be for get on out of here.
For the panel, when you sat on the other side of the table, like as a teacher, did you witness parents getting gaslighted frequently? And were you told to remain quiet? Did that frustration push you to become an advocate?
Rachel, we'll start with you.
Yes, it is very hard to be quiet and to be told to be quiet and to sit through the meetings, and that yes, there's definitely that frustration. That it is so much more refreshing to be on this side of it and to get to just say the elephant in the room and to answer truthfully and to focus on kids, and not the politics behind the curtain.
Yeah. Lauren, what was your experience in that?
Man, yeah, it happens a lot. I mean, and personally, it was the slap on the wrist. You don't say anything. You don't bring this up. You don't let them know. I mean, one of the worst that I experienced was when a family was getting, um, I'm going to just say they were getting played. It was this whole, hey, this behavior class is going to be great. It's specialized. You're going to have all this support for your kid. And this child, it would have been the worst thing for this kid, but the way that they're trying to present it, it was horrible. And I spoke up, and they did not take too kindly to that, because that didn't fit their narrative. But at the end of the day, I have always been, I need to be able to sleep at night, and I can't do that if I know a family is being lied to. So
Yeah. So, Alan, as somebody who's an educator, you went to school to be a voice for children. Was that frustrating in a meeting sometimes when you weren't allowed to communicate?
I mean, honestly, for me, it only happened a couple of times for me. I think for me, in the meetings, did I feel parents were getting gaslit? Not until the very end, because I just bought what I was being told was fact.
Mhm.
I mean, why would the and like now I know why, but because when you're told something, when something is said in a meeting and nobody objects to it, it must be right. So now I'm repeating the same thing that I heard in that meeting, just carrying it forward. And I guess that's what really, I feel like now that I was being gaslight lit, because somebody had to know that what we were saying was wrong, but nobody ever spoke up. But yeah, I mean, I look back on it now, and I get, you know, I didn't do right by some of my parents and my kids, but it wasn't because I intentionally did that. I just didn't know. And even when we asked, I mean, I don't want to take up, but I have two graduate level degrees, two master's degrees. One, because thought I wanted to be a principal. I got into that, finished it, and said, no, I don't want to be a principal. But I went in, I did also got a master's in special education with the thought process that I would go to get, do that, and I'd learn everything that the school's not teaching me. I felt like it was good because it teaches you how to teach special education kids. It doesn't teach you how to do special education. And that's what we do. And that's what the Special Education Academy and all the training that Karen provides, it teaches you how to do it, and how to do it ethically, how to do it with the intent of everybody winning. We want the teacher. The teachers are not the enemy, and I get that. I heard that so much when I was in school. If they bring an advocate, you can't talk to the parent. You're paid to teach the kids, not the parents. I heard that so many times. It was unsettling. But yeah, I just think we all have to come together, and special education has got to get fixed. There's a lot of things that are wrong with it. But until that happens, we have a responsibility to work with every kid, one IEP at a time, and do what we can for them. I saw some questions about what about the kids that can't afford. My hope is that maybe if we help enough kids in enough areas, that it starts to bleed over into all the kids. I don't know that I'll be honestly at the rate we're going though. It's been around for 50 years. I don't know that I'm going to live another 50 years, but that put me at well over 100. So, yeah, I mean you have to be in this for the kids, and also to support the families, the teachers, the related service providers, all that. You can't come into this wanting to bash people over the head with, I know the law, bang, bang. I mean, you have to be able to work with people and collaborate and negotiate. And that's one of the things Karen really instills on us and teaches us how to do.
And for people that can't afford it, it's why we put out 15,000 pieces of content every year, so that you can have the information. And now, because all of my partners threatened me if I didn't write this book, now you will have the exact 7-part process that each of them use every day when they do IEP meetings. So hopefully that's a low barrier. For $28, you could have an advocate in your pocket, because we want everybody to win at the table.
And I have to put this plug in because it would be unjust if we didn't. Named to the USA Today bestsellers list today, that book was. He was ahead of John Grisham, which I was thoroughly impressed by, because I love that John Grisham book.
Thank you. We're very excited.
When making the switch into advocacy, how long did it take to become financially sound? Is there a time frame where you rely on additional income or jobs? I am the primary provider for me and my son, and I worry about going into business for myself. Summer months, are they slow? How do you plan for that?
So, Rachel, I'll let you respond.
So they are like, you will have some time by the pool if that is what you desire, which I love, right? But as Karen said, it's not like when you're a teacher, you get like a nice 8 lovely weeks. It is not that. There's always emails. There's always, I also think it's a really big time where parents are reaching out and connecting and wanting the next year to go better, right? So yeah, you will definitely have, it might be slower, but you're still working, you're still getting clients, and moving forward in that manner. And then also, just you have times of the year, like, the start of school, October is a big rush, January is a big, rush. First semester wasn't that well, so second semester, and so you'll have these kind of pockets that are significantly busier, and you just also have to save your bones, right? For summer as well, right? So.
Yeah, once you start and turn it on, you actually can't turn it off unless you don't ever tell anybody. People are going to refer you whether you ask them to or not. It's not like, hey, I'm a realtor. We tell people I sell houses. One of the things I train my advocates on is literally make a post, a graphic. I'm a special education advocate. I help children that are struggling in school. If you know anybody, let me know. That's it. It's not fancy schmancy. It's not a $500 studio. People are desperate to get their kids help in school.
Hi, I'm a teacher and a parent in special education. I ended up hiring an attorney because I tried so hard to work with the district, only to receive lies and manipulation. It was horrible, stressful, traumatic. It was hard when working with other people's children. I'm worried I'd be continuing to work constant frustration. Do any of the advocates have any experience with this?
So, Cindy, I'm pretty sure if I remember, before you hired me, you actually hired an attorney, right?
Yes.
How amazing was that?
That was not amazing at all. He was late, and then he wound up taking all of my notes to run the meeting, and it was just horrible. It was stressful. I'm working in the county that my son attends school in, and you see the lies, and it is very stressful. So, yes, I do have a lot of experience with that. It wasn't until I hired Karen, who knows the law better than anyone I had ever had the pleasure of knowing, that we finally received help for my son. And it wasn't a second too soon.
And so talk about, obviously we don't have frustration-free meetings, but would you say the balance is tipped now as you help families?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. It's definitely tipped. The meetings are better. When I first started out with you, I believe, if you remember, all the frustration built up, and we were asking about minutes on a device, and I ran from the table in the meeting and I vomited in the kitchen sink on camera with everybody watching. So I no longer do that. I was trained by you, and I have confidence in the law. You taught us the law, and that's what backs us up, right behind you backing us up.
Awesome.
First of all, thank you, Karen, for having this call. I'm a single mom with an 11-year-old son in the 6th grade with ADHD and anxiety, and I'm struggling. I'm tired of being told no. I'm just trying to be a mom to advocate for her son. I probably couldn't afford one of you, but how can I find a special education advocate in my town? Will your book help me with this?
So, thank you for your kind words. So, the book's going to help you. And then I have a team of partner advocates. These are some of them, and they're available to serve families all across the nation. If you can find somebody in your neighborhood, great. But for sure, you want to find somebody that's a full time special education advocate. And so we have a team of advocates that are amazing. So our email is advocate at Special Education Academy, and reach out to us. You can set up a brief consultation call to see if it might be a fit, but we'd be happy to serve your family.
Is most of your work done online?
All, say it with me, all. I've been sitting here since Friday the 13th, March 2020. I think I've gone into school buildings a couple of times for specific legal issues, but I mean, California, Massachusetts, I have to figure out what state I'm in. But here's the good news. It's all the same meeting, right? It's just different people. The hardest thing about special education advocacy virtually are time zones, because there are other time zones in Texas. I just felt like everybody was on Central Standard Time. So like Linda said, setting up an IEP meeting for 5 a.m. I'm like, oh, that's so early. So, but it's great. We get to have the meeting. We log off, go, have a potty break, get a water, and come back, and we get to serve families back to back. It's amazing.
How do we find the advocates that you trained? Are there business or directories listed on the Special Education Academy site?
Yeah, all of their information's on the site. So if you just reach out to us, we will connect you with the next one that will serve you amazingly.
This one is near and dear to my heart. My main concern is, how do I know what I need to know for each and every unique meeting so that I won't mess up something for a child and a family? I've been a special education teacher for 24 years, and I just want to make sure I get it right.
Yeah, and just the training that you're going to get, even if you just took the 2-day, and I'm nobody's special, you just don't know what you weren't trained on, and educators weren't trained on this. So you already have more information than probably most after the 2-day. And so, it's not, you get the information. If you get stuck in a meeting, then, you look it up afterwards, you reconvene. As long as you're doing your due diligence, you fully prepare for the IEP meeting as best you can. The great thing about IEP meetings, each of them are a class in themselves. You will learn something, and you have never been to an IEP meeting that didn't learn something, maybe the way not to do it, right? And so, parents can see your heart, and that you are serving them at the highest level, and they're just relieved. They're so relieved that somebody's walking alongside them that may not have an agenda. And what I mean by that, I have an agenda. I want successful student outcomes. Schools have an agenda too. They have limited resources. They have limited funds. They are being told by leadership to keep the numbers down. And so when you have an advocate that walks alongside the family, they're just so relieved that I'm going to tell my parents the truth. It may not be what they wanted or what they were advocating for, but they appreciate our transparency, and getting all of us to work together as a team.
I am a Florida attorney who also has a PhD in special education. Is it possible to provide both legal services and advocacy services? Would you recommend this? I can provide legal services in Florida, but advocacy anywhere?
So that's a unique question. So if you're a special education attorney, we would love to train you and then send you 8 million clients, because we're not attorneys, right? And people need advocates, but then they ultimately need an attorney. But if you're going to advocate, you would need to decide what that role is. There's many attorneys that end up being mediators or advocates, but when you're in that advocate role, you're not their legal counsel. So that would be something you have to tease out.
I'm currently teaching and will be transitioning from the classroom soon. I have heard information about the IEP Academy, 2-day intensive class, and mastermind class. Where do I start as early as Friday? Guide me, please, please, please. And thank you.
Yeah, good. So get the 2-day, and then we'll see you Monday in the Academy.
Excellent. There we go. I mentioned earlier that I hired an attorney due to constant manipulation from the district. I think I confused you. The attorney was great. Before hiring the attorney, I was so stressed out. I'm wondering how advocates deal with the stress and frustration in dealing with school districts. Is it easier advocating for other people's kids as opposed to your own?
Yeah, there's no way I could advocate for James 16 times a week. It's too personal, right? There's the saying that surgeons don't operate on their own children. Is it stressful? Yes, but it's an exciting stressful because we get to take this puzzle, take it all apart, and find the pieces and help put it back together and use everybody's gifting at the table to serve kiddos. There's a lot of losses in special education, but there's mostly wins as a special education advocate.
Can we get a certification or continued education units for your training?
So we don't have any continuing ed units, although most people that have taken, you get a certificate at the end. They can, I've never had a state or anybody say, oh, that didn't count. But we are not, vendors in all 50 states because, states like a lot of paperwork.
Excellent. That is it.
Okay, I think somebody said you have to have a degree to be an advocate. Rachel, do you have a degree?
Just a few, but no, you do not have to have a degree to be an advocate. Just a love for kiddos.
Yeah, so I'm sure there's people on here that are parents that aren't current educators. One of the ongoing goofiness online is you should have to be a teacher before you can be a special education advocate. Is that your feeling, Rachel?
No, that's not my feeling at all. I mean, that's what's so awesome and unique about you is how, with your experience and how many families you've been able to serve and the knowledge you've been able to collect along the way and have those real conversations of, Rachel, you and I both know that that's not something that's realistic, right? And having those conversations. And yeah, I think sometimes that you are more in tune with what goes on inside school buildings for somebody who's never worked there, right? And I think you have more of those realities sometimes. So I think it really comes down to everybody in special education, at least what I've seen, has a personal connection to it, right? It's not something you get into without that personal connection. So if you have that personal connection and that passion and compassion to serve kiddos with disabilities, this is for you.
Yeah. So closing thoughts, we'll start with the great Lauren.
Closing thoughts. So I think this is it's such an incredible role and position to be in, to help families and parents just have a sense of relief, right? Their child is the utmost important thing in their life. And as a mom too, that feeling of I can finally breathe because my kid is going to be taken care of, even though I don't know all the pieces. That is the most rewarding part of this job. And I would really encourage anyone to, if you're interested, start learning, start doing the trainings and just start getting into it. And you could do a little or you could do a lot, but even if it's one family, you're still helping a child. So
yeah. Thank you. Closing thoughts, Linda?
I would have to agree. I mean, I am so honored to be doing this with all these people on the screen. We are in constant contact with each other. We support each other. We help. Karen's been amazing answering questions. And I think Monday I texted her, I need to talk to you, call me. And she called me right back. And I mean, I needed that help right then. And it has been, I mean, I was born a teacher. I was born to help the kids. Now I'm helping not only the kids, I'm helping the families. But it's so nice to be in the meeting and see other educators who all they really want is to help the kids in their care to achieve the best possible outcome. And that's what we're all working for too. So I would really recommend, if you're thinking about doing this, it is a scary thing. And you're going to get to that point when you say, I don't know if I can do this. Well, you can. If I can do it, anybody can. So come on down and join us.
Yeah. Closing thoughts, Rachel?
I mean, and what the girls have said, right? I mean, there is no higher honor than to get to walk this journey, walk through life in this journey with these families and serve kiddos at the highest level, and just to get to see going through, like, you'll have several meetings that feel like hair pulling and teeth pulling, and we're so relieved that it is virtual and not in person, right? Be just for, safety reasons for all involved. And then to come, back to the table after, after we've gotten through all these meetings, and once we all get to know each other, and you can get everybody and move everybody to just to night and day see shifts with teams, and to get to have collaboration, and they buy in, and they're like, yes, Miss Modern, we know, weekly data, yes, already done, right? And it, just to be able to see those and to have those phone calls of, you can't believe how great this is, right? It's just a very, when I was a special ed teacher, I just thought, like, when I was in school training, I thought, you always have all these light bulbs going off and kiddos are always understanding. And as you all know, one thing about being a special ed teacher is sometimes there's not a lot of light bulbs going off very often, right? And I think advocacy is very same to that. But when they do, like, it's so bright. So
good. Cindy, closing thoughts?
Pivot right now. That's what got me to where I am. 27 years as a teacher, resigned, totally broken, couldn't help the kids. Go to specialeducationacademy.com, join us on a Monday night. There are hundreds of hours that you can listen to. Always have Karen on in the car. Listen. Pivot. You can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. Come and join us.
Thanks. Alan, closing thoughts?
Two things. If you're here tonight, I would assume that you have some interest, if not as a parent, an educator, whatever, how to be an advocate. So two things I would suggest. One, I'd get the book. I mean, it's not a legal book. It's a story. It's Karen's story and how that has related into the way that she teaches us. The second thing I would highly recommend, and there's really no reason not to, is join the academy. It's free. You can come in, stick your foot in, and find out if you like it or not. You can, there's all, like Cindy said, there's hundreds of hours of training that you can watch in your first month, your first free month. There's really no reason not to. You can join. You can join and don't have to put your camera on if you're worried about somebody, like kind of like I was at least after I thought. But after I thought Karen didn't know what she was talking about, I didn't want people at my school knowing I was out there doing this because I didn't want to know. And so you can do the same thing, but you owe it to yourself to stick your toe in the water, especially if you're one of the people asking questions. I'm thinking about being an advocate whenever, next year, 2 years, whenever. Come see what it's about. There's no reason not to.
Awesome. Well, thanks, you guys. Thanks for all your kind words. Ashley, I do hope I see you on the 12th. It's going to be amazing. We're so excited about getting on the road and training people in schools and everybody. Like, we are all a team. And so some of us didn't have pads. Some of us didn't have helmets. Some of us had one shoe. So we want everybody to be fully dressed and suited up to go out there and play special education to serve kids at the highest level. So thank you guys very much. If you have a recommendation for your next webinar, just email us at advocate@specialeducationacademy.com. And like the book says, it's not a cheesy statement. It is my life's work. And on the inside of the book, it is the truth that when we get it right for the child, we get it right for everybody. And we get it right almost always. And we're going to keep doing that. Thanks, you guys.